Deshaun Watson, the Houston Texans against the Colts. And I'm not going to lie. I thought this game wasn't going to be close. The Colts have a great defense. The Texans, they just have Deshaun Watson on offense. Will Fuller suspended for the year. And the Texans defense is horrible. But this game was closer than I thought. And if it wasn't for a botched snap by the Texans center, I don't even know his name. That's how unworthy, that's how unnotable these Texans players are. Then they probably would have won the game. The Texans would have won the game. Deshaun Watson would have had a great performance against one of the top-ranked defenses in the NFL. And as I'm watching this game, I'm saying, I think people are starting to underappreciate how good Deshaun Watson is. When I think of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, I think of four guys that separated themselves from everybody else in the league. Patrick Mahomes is one. That's obvious. Then you have Russell Wilson. That's two. That's obvious. Then you have Aaron Rodgers. That's obvious. The next guy up is Deshaun Watson. Like, I think Deshaun Watson is having the best year of his career, even though the Texans are playing as a team. This is the worst team that Deshaun Watson has had since he's been on the Texans. Deshaun Watson has 3,542 yards passing, 24 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, and a 110 QB rating, which is a career high. Like, this is a career year. Yesterday against the Colts, one of the best defenses in the NFL, Kiki Kute and Chad Hansen both had 100 yards. You might have heard of Kiki Kute, but have you ever heard of Chad Hansen? I've never heard of him before. This was the first time I've ever heard his name. I didn't know him in college. I didn't know when he got drafted. I don't know if he even got drafted. He probably wasn't drafted. I'm not sure. I don't know who Chad Hansen is. And he had 100 yards because Deshaun Watson was quarterbacking that offense. It's just a shame to see how bad of a position that Deshaun Watson is in right now. You look at the end of the game, he's sad. I don't know if he was crying or not, with a towel over his head on the sideline. T.Y. Hilton comes up to him and just tells him to keep his head up. You see the post-game press conference, and Deshaun Watson is tired of losing. I mean, this guy is a born winner. In college, he won a national championship. Even the Texans, I feel like with them, he overachieved. He overcame Bill O'Brien as a coach and made the Texans really relevant. They were up 24-0 on the Chiefs before the Chiefs came back, and they beat them. Realistically, the Texans should have been in the AFC Championship game, and the Titans versus Texans and an AFC Championship game, who would you pick? I'd probably go with the Texans. The Texans could have realistically made the Super Bowl last year if they didn't blow the lead to the Chiefs. So I feel bad for Deshaun Watson because he wants to win so bad, and I just don't think this is a situation where he's going to do it anytime soon. The only kind of the most recent timetable I can see the Texans competing is in 2022. That's when they're projected to have $47 million in cap space. In 2021, this upcoming draft, they don't have a first-round pick. They don't have a second-round pick. So they're going to have to nail the third and further picks. So in the fourth round, the fifth round, the sixth round. I'm not sure how well the Texans have drafted in recent history. So I'm not sure if you even have faith that they'll even hit on those picks. Then in 2022, they have all their picks back plus cap space. So that's the year that I think the Texans can be competitive and actually surround Deshaun Watson with a good team. I mean, right now, this roster is filled with holes. You don't got a secondary. You really don't got linebackers. You don't have an offensive line. Your receivers, you don't have a true number one. Will Fuller is really good. He's an explosive receiver. You have to account for him because he's so fast, but he's not a true number one. You don't have a tight end. Who's your best tight end? Jordan Atkins. And your running backs are basically just old, washed-up guys like David Johnson, whose prime of the career were about 3 years ago. So they have a lot of holes on this team. But that being said, I think they should focus on building the offensive line first and that offense, because I think the Texans need to bring in a defensive-minded head coach. I know people love the combination of Deshaun Watson and Eric Bieniemy, but I think that offensive coaches, offensive coordinators as head coaches are overrated. You look at the recent ones that have been successful, probably Sean McVay and Kyle Shanahan, and those guys are geniuses. On the defensive side, you got a guy like Brian Flores. He's been successful. A special teams coach in Joe Judge going to the Giants. He's been successful. The Washington football team with Ron Rivera. defensive coordinator. He was a head coach, though. He's been successful. I think this is like my favorite head coaching candidate for every like team I see an opening for a head coach for. I think that's Robert Saleh. I don't think there's a doubt about it. It's either Robert Saleh or Matt Eberflus from the Colts, the defensive coordinator from the Colts. You look at the Colts defense. They don't have great defensive players, but that scheme is just so good that it fits. If you get a guy like Matt Eberflus to go to the Texans, he can make this talentless defensive unit look better than it is. And he'd be going from the Colts to the Texans, so he's not moving far. And in the past, we've seen that when coaches are in the market, they usually go to the same division that they were in. You know, just look when Adam Gase was on the free agent market, and he went to the Jets from the Dolphins. So I think Matt Eberflus makes sense for the Texans. They need to go for a defensive coordinator because that's the problem with the Texans. Their offense will always be good with Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson will always keep that offense relevant, even if it's lacking talent. So what you need to bring in Houston is a defensive coordinator, and my top two picks are Robert Saleh and Matt Eberflus. And to finish this segment off, this year, the Texans have the 24th ranked defense. Last year, it was the 19th. So that's obviously the part of the team that has to improve the most.